Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call the Johnston City Council meeting number 26-07 to order. Cindy, roll call, please.
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Ready?
Here.
Burkhart?
Here.
I want to welcome everyone that is in the audience this evening. If you are here for an item that is on the agenda, there will be an opportunity. If you are here for an item that is on the agenda, we would ask that you wait for that item to come up. If you're here for an item that is not on the agenda, there'll be an opportunity under public communications to address the council. That's the first time I've ever said that, so I'll practice it. I've said it a million times. Anyway, the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have Dennis Meyer in the audience this evening. So Dennis, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the agenda approval. Mike, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor and Council, there is a Scrivener error under consent agenda item 5I. We are setting the public hearing for April 2026, not 2025. So when you approve the consent agenda, we'd ask that that be changed. Thank you.
Are there any other changes, Council? Seeing none, with that change, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to public communications. We have one scheduled public communication this evening, and that is Dennis Meyer from Created in Johnston.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you. My name is Dennis Meyer, 6330 Merle Hay Road. Right across the street, I make the concrete statues. I wanted to let you know that I've been there for over 38 years. On September 4th of this year, I'm closing the doors. We're going to keep the property, rent it out to someone else. We're one of the few concrete statuary businesses in the entire Midwest. It's been interesting sharing with my longtime customers that the reactions are, you can't close. To one gentleman from Adel goes, you can't close because this is my favorite store in Des Moines. And I'm like, really?
Did you tell him he was in Johnston?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate. We've done a lot of interesting projects over the years. Actually, I've been doing the same occupation now since I was a young teenager. So I'm going on 55 years now of making concrete statues. And because of that, I don't have a gym membership because you get one almost every day you're at work. But some of the fun, interesting projects I've been involved in is doing the big dragon heads for the schools of Johnston, veterans parks around the state of Iowa and other places in the Midwest, and just a lot of fun things. We're working on a project right now with Ryman Gardens, and it's been a lot of fun over the years. I wanted to take the time also to share that it was very helpful early on. Back in 1987, I believe it was, Don Coates was the city administrator, and he said, Dennis, hang out your shingle. And from that point on, I did have what I would consider good and decent and reasonable cooperation from and with the city. I know that individual small businesses like me, we face a bigger, different challenge than corporate businesses that come to Johnston. And so I would encourage you in the future to not give a break, but give a consideration to small businesses that are trying to advance themselves, because it's a challenge people would never understand. When people ask me, what is maybe one of the favorite things that you've done with what you've been doing for your whole life? And it's this simple. I'm carrying anywhere from a 5-pound to a 100-pound statue out to somebody's vehicle, and the whole way out there, they're telling me we're going to put it, and it's going to look like this, and that's quite a rewarding thing to have people appreciate the hard work and effort that we put into what we've done, and that I walk away back into my store, and it's like, wow, I just got paid to make them happy. So again, I want to thank the city for everything they've done for me over the years, and that's what I had. Thank you.
Well, Dennis, before you step away, I just want to say thank you to you. I didn't realize it had been 38 years that you've been operating your business here in Johnston. I know it's been as long as I've been in the community, and I've been here for 33, 34 years now. So you're kind of an icon in our community. I mean, everybody knows about the concrete, statue business over there. You've just done an incredible job. I also want to just say, first of all, on your comment on small businesses, absolutely. We need to do more to support our small businesses in our community. They are truly the backbones of our commercial business in our communities. And you're a great example of how important that is to our communities. I also want to make sure that everybody here understands what an incredible person you are. You have, you are such an honorable person with such a kind heart. I remember the story about the 2 young persons who vandalized your business over there, and rather than coming down hard-handed with the legal consequences that they could have suffered, you said, no, you're going to come to my store and you're going to pay off your debt to me by a little
Restitution.
little bit of service, and that probably that may have changed their lives.
Yeah.
There you go. So thank you for the wonderful person that you are. Thank you for the wonderful business that you've had in your community. And I hope that even with your moving on to the next chapter in your life, you'll still be here with us and continue to contribute to our community. So thank you.
Welcome.
You bet.
Merle Road was only 2 lanes when I started.
Dennis, it wasn't clear. Are you selling, you're keeping the property, you said, but is someone still going to run the concrete business? No.
No.
Okay.
Rent the building out to someone else.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we'll miss it. It was fun having you there and all the fun stuff you made.
So if you need a dragon head, you better get over there quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's probably weigh more than 100 pounds.
We are still under public communications. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda?
Good evening, Scott Bass, 6575 Northwest 54th Court. Last year, around July, you guys passed the ordinance, I think it was 1140 on golf carts. And during that time, UTVs and such were under discussion. I posed that question about continuing on while it was all fresh, and was answered as we will revisit it in spring of 26. I think it's officially spring now. I was just
Not
curious.
quite, almost.
Well, we
We're
did
supposed
have
to
the
get snow
solstice,
later this
right?
week, so.
So I was just curious if that's still happening or a timeline on that.
Let me see, I'm looking at our police chief as well as Christine. I don't know what recent conversations we've had on that, but
It's on my short list of things to bring up for future discussion to figure out what a timeline might be if the council's interested in the discussion. So yeah, we said we were going to wait a year and look at some of the data from other communities and that sort of thing. I've got about 3 different city ordinances I'm working on right now, and that's, I believe, number 2 or number 3 in the hopper. So we'll be figuring that out here if the council's desires are to have discussion and research on it in the short term.
so it hasn't been forgotten.
Okay, so will that be in council or work sessions notified when that, if and when that does?
That'll,
Or
yeah,
how
when
would
we
I
take
know?
that up for discussion, we'll have probably work sessions first and then a council meeting to consider the ordinance.
Kind of keep looking through the
Yep,
agendas and see. Okay,
that'd
nope.
be great.
Thank you. That's
Okay,
all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Anybody online, Cindy? Okay, moving on. We have a couple of public hearings scheduled this evening. First, to conduct a public hearing on the matter of adoption of plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of costs for the Northwest 86th Street PCC patching project, and consider resolution number 26-59, adopting plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost. We'll consider the construction bids, and consider resolution number 26-60, making award of construction contract, and resolution number 26-61, approving construction contract and bond. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:11. Matt?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. On March 25th, the city received bids for the Northwest 86th Street patching program. The project is located between 54th and our southern city limits, near the interstate on-ramps. There were 6 bidders on the project. The engineer's opinion of probable cost was $320,000. The low bid received was $271,401.50, so approximately 18% below the engineer's estimate. The certified bid tab shows the concrete company as the low bidder, and staff and the engineer would recommend approval of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Matt, have we done business with this company before?
We've not had them as a prime. They've been on a sub on a couple of projects, and they've worked out well. They used to be located at the south end of Beaver Drive and have recently moved. So, yep.
To what extent, what is the range of the work on 86? What's the north end, south end of it?
So the north end will be just short of 54th Avenue. It'll be between 54th and our southern city limits. So just almost to the off ramp there from 35 to 80. Urbandale has a little bit more side on the southbound lanes. So it'll be a little bit shorter there, and that'll set us up for our overlay project next year on 86th Street.
So they're doing patching up to 54th, and then the overlay will be, okay.
Would be 54th to 62nd. We've got a lot of good concrete in that segment, so we just didn't want to have to overlay it.
Sure, okay, great, thanks.
Other questions for Matt? This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:13. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-59?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes. Motion passed. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-60?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Motion passed. And do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-61?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to item 4B, conduct a public hearing and consider resolution number 26-65, approving and authorizing execution of a development agreement by and between the City of Johnston and Colas Mechanical Incorporated. We'll open this public hearing at 7:14.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution before you tonight is to approve a development agreement with Colas Mechanical Incorporated. They first approached us a little over a year ago now, interested in moving from lease space that they've held for a long time, a couple of decades over on Northwest Beaver Drive, looking to build their own facility in the Northwest Beaver Business Park at 4825 Northwest 59th. This agreement follows our standard base TIF program of 50% for 5 years. The one caveat to that being we did agree to an extra 6th year based on the timing They anticipate wrapping up construction towards the end of the year, beginning of Q1. And based on that, the partial assessment would likely come in pretty high for a brand new building, even though it's not a full assessment at that point. So we did not agree to adjust the cap or anything, but we did add that extra payment on a partial valuation in the first year if they achieve and obtain their certificate of occupancy by the end of Q1 2027. It's a maximum of $175,000 for the construction of a 16,200 square foot building, which includes some warehouse storage space, sheet metal fabrication space for their HVAC business, and office space as well. And the retention, I should say, of 9 jobs and creation of 1 additional job over that period for 10 total. With that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Council, have any questions?
Sorry, I should add the site plan for this project is up for approval later on in your agenda this evening.
Council, have any questions? I don't see any. Anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:16. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-65?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Brooker.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Brooker,
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would just note that with the approval of the consent agenda, we also received and filed several reports, and I would commend those to your reading to the extent that you're interested. Next item on the agenda, the non-consent agenda, item 7A, consider resolution number 26-55, approving the preliminary plat for ACO Townhomes Plat 1.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. The applicant ACO Unlimited LLC is proposing to subdivide 11.12 acres into 48 lots for twin homes, 2 lots for stormwater detention and 1 lot for the public street. The subject property is located at 5270 Northwest 57th Avenue in Johnston.
Do we need to remove this from the table? We tabled it.
Is it tabled or continued?
I think we tabled it.
So then, yeah, someone should make a motion to.
So pause. Do we have a motion to remove this item from the table?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
What's the reason you're taking it off?
I'm sorry?
What's the reason you're taking it off now?
At the last meeting,
I
was
was not
Suresh not here? Was,
Yeah, it's just a procedural to
Yeah.
bring it up so we can discuss.
Okay. Okay.
we tabled it, now we have to untable it so that we can take it up.
Okay.
We had a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Brooker,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, proceed.
A little history on the property. There was a proposed rezoning in May of 2025 for the northern portion of this lot to be rezoned from the R175 medium lot residential district to the R2 low density mixed residential district. The applicant withdrew their application prior to any council action being taken by council. That same month, the southern portion of the lot was rezoned to include the animal keeping overlay. The Thrive 2040 comprehensive plan identifies the subject property as suburban residential. This future land use is identified as including housing with densities that generally range from 2 to 4 acres, 2 to 4 units per acre. Neighborhood areas classified as suburban residential will typically be predominantly single family, detached units on lots generally ranging from 1/4 of an acre to 1/2 an acre in size. Suburban residential areas include the potential for some single-family bi-attached units and other lower-intensity attached housing options. The proposed development is consistent with the Thrive 2040 comprehensive plan. As previously stated, the northern portion of this lot is zoned R175 medium lot, the medium lot residential district, with the southern portion being the R175 with the animal keeping overlay. The bulk regulations for the R175 for twin homes is a front and rear yard setback of 35 feet, a side yard setback of 8 feet, a minimum lot area of 6,250 square feet, and a minimum lot width of 50 feet. The subject property is in compliance with all bulk regulations. The development area includes two existing trees exceeding 6-inch caliper diameter or greater to be proposed to be removed. They are an 18-inch elm and an 18-inch ash tree. Trees to be preserved will have protection fencing installed to protect a minimum of 60% of the critical root area. The proposed development includes 3 new roadways. Each roadway will serve the development only and connect back to the greater city road network. There will be one connection at Northwest 57th Avenue and one connection at Northwest 55th Avenue. All street lots are 60-foot right-of-way width, and all roadway sections will be 26-foot wide pavement sections. The previous versions of the comprehensive plan, dating back to the 1980s, have shown Pioneer Parkway extending all the way to Northwest Beaver Drive. The original vision for Pioneer Parkway was a connection between Moroje Road and Northwest Beaver Drive as an alternative to improving Northwest 55th and Northwest 57th Avenues. Since that time, much of the Beaver Drive area has been developed. Northwest 55th and Northwest 57th Avenue have also been reconstructed, and much of that right-of-way was not preserved. As a result, the easterly connection was removed during the 2020 Thrive Comprehensive Plan update. The western connection was left in, but would require significant redevelopment for it to be connected due to the number of individual properties that need to be redeveloped. As proposed, this plot preserves the ability to continue the westerly extension of Pioneer Parkway from Moroje Road to Northwest 52nd Street. Additionally, if the existing Northwest 52nd Street in the Deer Meadow subdivision to the east had been platted as an actual right-of-way, it would have allowed the city to explore a potential connection from this property to the existing development. Currently, the detention basin was left in an outlot and the street parcel remains under private ownership. As a result, the city does not have the ability to acquire the connection without acquiring the property. Sidewalks are required on both sides of public streets. The entire development will be serviced by public sanitary sewer and water with connections to both Northwest 57th Avenue and Northwest 55th Avenue. The fire marshal has reviewed the plans and finds them to meet fire protection requirements. The dead ends on Northwest 56th Avenue are less than 100 feet in distance and therefore do not require a turnaround according to the fire code. That is section 503.11 of the International Fire Code for 2024. These measurements are done from edge of curb. So there's 137 feet to Northwest 52nd Street and 146th Street from Northwest 53rd Street. Runoff will be collected by 2 newly created detention basins on the north and south ends, identified as Outlot X and Outlot Y. The subject property is not within any FEMA designated floodway or floodplain. Chapter 180.43 of the Johnston Code of Ordinances requires dedication of 5 acres of public parkland for each 1,000 residents added to the community. The parkland dedication requirement for this development would be 0.468 acres. The Parks Department has reviewed the subject property and is recommending the applicant provide an equal alternative to land dedication for the purpose of determining an equal value alternative. The city utilizes $28,000 per acre. For this plat, the value would be $13,104. Notice was sent to property owners within 350 feet of the property. As of this meeting, the staff has not received any calls or comments. We have received a call, more of just an inquiry about kind of what is being proposed here, but nothing in support or against. We have members from the applicant's team here, as well as myself, to answer any questions you may have.
Council have any questions for Jacob?
I do, Mayor. Jacob, I wasn't here when this was presented to the council 2 weeks ago. So, and while I appreciated your update, it went kind of fast for me. So if you wouldn't mind, explain to me, so again, let me say some things. These are going to be private roads. Is that correct?
Public roads.
This is a public street,
That's
all
correct.
of this.
That is correct.
And you said something about sidewalks. Tell me what that was. Because you
Sidewalks are
went quite
required
quick.
on both sides of public streets.
There will be sidewalks?
Yes.
Okay. What about parking along the street? These seem to be quite narrow lots. Will there be any room for parking along the street?
I do not know what our requirement would be off the top of my head for parking along the streets. I would direct that to our police chief.
Is this going to have a homeowners association?
But not to my understanding.
It doesn't need a homeowners association.
To my understanding.
Can you explain to me, you went over it quite fast, Northwest 52nd Street, it's the street that's to the east that dead ends in the Hammerhead. You said this development is not required to connect to that Hammerhead. Can you explain to me why that is?
So the detention pond that is currently there is in an outlot, as well as we do not own the city does not own the right of way. That's owned by the development.
Is it an easement?
No, it's an owned lot by the developer of Deer Meadows.
Because on the assessor side, it looked like it was an easement.
It would be in an easement, but it's owned by that developer. It's not owned by the city.
So it is an easement, meaning they can't build upon it. But yeah, if we had to put a street in there, we'd have to purchase that portion of land. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
Right. And that's what's holding us back from making this developer connect to that, is the fact that the city of Johnston would have to purchase one half of this easement or I guess, yeah, it would only be one half of the easement.
That is my understanding of it, yes.
Do the alignment of the east-west road, which is, sorry, I've got to go back to the other, Northwest 56th Avenue, does that align with anything?
It would be, not if you're talking about like a line.
Like the Pioneer Parkway?
Would not be a line, no, but it would still be possible to make that. The difference would be the separation of lots. So the existing right-of-way that is on, that the other developer, the developer of Deer Meadows owns, would line up directly with the existing Pioneer Parkway.
So I'm looking at the assessor site here, and it shows there are, you said something about several properties that would have, if we were ever to connect to the Pioneer Parkway, it looks like there's about 1, 2, 3, 4 properties if we kept it on the south side of the zoning division. I mean, as opposed to having it a whole lot further to the south, that would make these other properties that are existing, we'd have to take even more of their land. I guess what I'm trying to get around to is, I don't understand this street system that we are now going to take over that doesn't even have hammerheads at the end of them so that we can turn people around. I mean, where's the garbage trucks going to turn around? I get that you said that the fire engine, the fire chief says it's good, but it does seem to me if this is a public street, we should have some way to turn people around. We don't have a requirement for that?
No.
Well, that concerns me. So even if we don't have that requirement, I think as a city council, we do have a requirement to, look over these designs and make sure that we're not installing something that is complicated and doesn't make sense for the future growth of our city. And not connecting this street and not having hammerheads seems to me a problem. I will let anyone else want to speak now.
Councilwoman Martin, before you proceed, let's get if we could, some policy guidance from our attorney. If the ordinance doesn't require something, and if a developer comes forward and submits a plan that is in compliance with our ordinance, can we supersede that? Can we override that and say we want something different?
If the proposed plat meets all city requirements, then the council can't require additional requirements. However, the overall street layout and things like that, and traffic volume and speed and concerns about that, those are always factors you can consider. But if it's a code-specific requirement and they meet the requirement, no, you can't then add on an additional requirement to that.
Okay, so
Is
on go ahead.
Well, what I would say to you, Mayor, and this probably goes back to Jacob, is when that ordinance was written, was it because they're making an assumption we're going to have a street there someday? And what I heard from Jacob earlier was that we're probably not going to have streets continuing someday. So that's, to me, should supersede that it's okay to have a dead-end street without a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac or anything to turn people around. Would be the assumption that we're going to go ahead and build that street within 5 to 10 years. And if we're not going to do that, then we need to turn people around. I know our ordinances are not written for every case.
We adopt general policy that apply in all situations.
Absolutely.
If we want to change our ordinance, we can change our ordinance, but we can't do it, retroactively.
I get that. But is there anything in past discussions where there is an assumption we're going to carry on this street? We're not just going to leave it forever dead end like this? And I know you're new, Jacob, but you know what I'm saying? Is there an assumption that this is?
The assumption would be the comp plan would be the assumption showing.
And the comp plan shows roads that continue on,
Right.
at least to the west, not to the east.
That is correct, at least to the west.
So the one on the east should have a hammerhead.
It meets all fire code requirements.
Yes, but it doesn't meet the future of the city. I mean, it's a mishmash of roads in an area that we've already talked about, how it's a mishmash of zoning. This just adds to the mix in a poorly functioning way. That's my thoughts.
I will chime in here. I will say the subdivision ordinance for street development does say that if there is a temporary dead-end street, a turnaround meeting fire code standards is required. And if it is a cul-de-sac, it is supposed to have a turnaround at the end. So it's either a cul-de-sac or it's a temporary dead-end street.
And you're saying a temporary dead-end street is still required to have a hammerhead?
Well, it says whatever is required by fire code for appropriate turnaround distance is what's required.
And so you're saying that
Does not
because
require-
it's less than 150 feet, they're willing to back up?
Not require a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac.
I just think this is heading us down a poorly designed, poor future. But those are my thoughts. I'm happy to hear what the other council or our audience thinks.
What's the site, the zoning code section you were looking
I'm
at?
looking at the subdivision ordinance. It's 19604 street design.
The 196.04?
Yes.
Thank you.
Eric Cannon, 2727 Southwest Snyder Boulevard, here on behalf of Snyder and Associates Consulting Engineer, and then we have the developer here as well. I guess I would say this doesn't preclude the ability to extend those streets in the future. Obviously, this is an infill property. There's not development adjacent to it on all sides. I mean, as things develop to the west or to the east, I think there is opportunity to extend those streets in the future. I think that the city has the ability to consider that with any project. I mean, just like we were here before with the rezoning, it was discussed, it was not going to be supported, so we stepped back, went back to the drawing board, came up with this concept, worked with staff, worked with the fire department, worked with public works, and it came up with something that met all the requirements of the city and staff and everything that we were asked to do. So I guess I would be careful to say it's going to be this way forever. I think as everything redevelops and continues to grow in this community, you're going to see opportunity to make these road connections. I guess that's just my 2 cents on that. I mean, I think you guys ultimately have the ability when a plat comes into the east or west here to consider the ability to make that connection and extend those roadways.
Well, and then what about the connection to the existing road to the east? It seems like there seems to be some sort of, we don't own some property there, but there is a hammerhead. There was the intention that there would be a road connection there. Why aren't we connecting to that then?
So again, that's privately held property. We don't own it. We have no ability to make that connection. The city doesn't own it. There's no ability to make that connection, short of condemning the property, I guess. That would be the only way to get that. So again,
So if we were to investigate that, you'd be okay with aligning your street with that hammerhead?
I mean, at this point, we've invested a lot of time and energy into getting to this point, worked through everything with staff. This is not our first trip in front of your council here. Been working on this for several years, to be honest with you. So, I mean, it's something we would like to move forward. Again, I think this provides the opportunity to see this community continue to grow. That neighborhood, I know when we talked to people last time, they didn't want a connection. So I guess at this point, you know, we're trying to meet what the neighborhood expectations are, what staff's requirements are, what the city code is. We try to balance all of those asks. And so I hear what you're saying, Rhonda. I understand. You'd like to see that turnaround go away.
I just think it's it's setting up very odd situation here for growth, but I do want to assure you that I am very much in favor of more affordable housing in Johnston. And I'm okay with getting more affordable housing built in Johnston. My 2 concerns are the odd road alignment, the dead end, well, maybe there's 3, the dead end hammerheads, and then where are people going to be parking? Because it seems to me, and I can't read it from here. Okay, you've got 50-foot wide lots. You're going to have very little parking on the street, but I guess you'll have some maybe. You figure you're going to have 20-foot wide
driveways.
driveways.
Rooms for roughly 2 cars.
2 cars. Okay.
So, I mean, it is not your traditional 70, 75-foot wide lots. You may fit 3 cars in the street, but here you probably would fit 2 cars.
And I can ask this of Jacob later, but will there be allowed parking only on one side or on both sides? Excuse me? One side. Okay, thank you.
And I guess I would just continue on that conversation. I mean, infill parcels are hard, right? You don't have stuff you're just tying into and continuing to go with. So this has been it's a challenging piece. There's a reason it's sat here as long as it has. But again, we've made a lot of effort to work with staff and again, be reactive to the neighborhood and to council and everybody that's been involved in this process. And to be honest, at this point, they just want to move forward and get a project going here. So I hear your concerns, but I mean, again, we're trying to live within the rules and the guidelines of the code and everything like that, and staff and the expectations of everybody involved. So.
While you're here, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So there was no consideration ever given to try to align with that existing hammerhead on 52nd because of the previous expression from the neighbors. And there also was no consideration given to extend the current Northwest 52nd Street to meet up with your Northwest 56th Avenue. Is that correct? I guess I was asking him.
I prefer you ask me.
Okay.
So Pioneer Parkway was originally decided to go through at some point
Yes.
back in early 2000s. We did align the road. We knew that was going to have to be an issue, that was going to have to happen, but we don't own the land, and the land, he does not want to sell it. So at the end of the day, we've tried to do what we need to do, but we did align in our development. We didn't have to, and it does flow through. That was the thing. Unfortunately, I can't pay for the sins of the past of what's been done. You know, it's been developed that way. That's how the land's been developed around there. So at the end of the day, you know, we did what we could to accommodate the fire department, police department, everybody.
So who owns that parcel, that kind of outlot?
I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Is it like somebody who lives in that neighborhood, or?
I don't know. They were reached out to by Brian Balmer, my partner. So I don't know who actually owns it, but he
It
reached
says
out.
Homes by Advantage.
Advantage LLC. So anyway, but yeah, Councilwoman, I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I do. I respect it, but we did the best we could with what we were dealt with on an unusual piece of shape of land. And it's going to provide affordable housing for people in Johnston and do what we need to help grow this community.
Was there consideration given, it appears anyway, based on casual measurements, that the portion of Pioneer Parkway that extends east of Merle Hay Road is, and where it currently dead ends, is approximately 30 to 32 feet wide. Was there any consideration given to try to make your 56th the same width as that?
I'll let Eric talk.
Yeah, so over there, there's a little bit different land use on it. So typically, you do see wider roads in commercial or higher density areas versus a more neighborhood-ish feel. So I mean, with these being more residential-based lots, you typically do see smaller roads. And again, city staff, public works, everybody's reviewed this as far as the road width, the right-of-way width, all those things through here. So again, yeah, I mean, it was part of the review and approval process, working that through.
But there was no consideration by your design to actually make that wider than that minimum 26 foot.
I mean, obviously, if it's not a requirement, roads cost money. I mean, everything's part of the process.
I get, are you done?
I am, thank you.
So, and I guess this is maybe a broader kind of question, maybe for David, I think you brought up a good point that when you have narrower lots, that then puts pressure on cars to more likely park in the street. So do we, as we contemplate a subdivision that has, that by its design pushes more cars to park on the street, do we contemplate requiring wider streets, or is that something we should be thinking about in our subdivision regulations?
The width of the streets is based more on the volume of the roadway and anticipated volume of the roadway. And so we accommodate all widths of streets in our subdivision ordinance, accommodate parking on one side. It just gets more comfortable as a street gets wider. So if that was a 31-foot street, we wouldn't park any more cars along it. Cars would go faster on it. And so, or have the ability to go faster on it. And so really the width comes down to if this was a thoroughfare going multiple blocks, that street would probably end up needing to get wider because of the volume of traffic. But it's not impacted by the width of the lot or the style of the lot.
And when you would say wider, you're talking 29 feet? What is our standard kind of?
Typically we go to a 31.
So 26 is a size, and then the next size is 31 feet? Yep. Okay.
Historically, we've done 29, but 26 and 31 are the.
That's because that's what I remember. I think of a lot of these streets are 29 feet wide, but.
Historically, we did a fair amount of them, yeah.
Fair amount of what?
29 foot, but
Yeah.
And these will still have two-stall garage, driveway with 2 cars. I mean,
Two-car garage, okay.
Really no different than you would see on a regular 70 or 75-foot wide lot. I mean, those may have a 3-stall garage, but again, they're a bigger house that may support more stuff. But I don't think the smaller lot's going to push cars out in the street any different than it would with a traditional single-family lot.
So they're twin homes. So does that mean on each lot, there's one house or 2 houses?
There's, in essence, a duplex.
And the lot, so I'm looking at this design here and it says 19 and 20. So is the duplex, half the building is on 19, half the building's on 20, and the lot line splits right in the middle of the house?
Yep, down a common wall line, typically is how it's done.
Okay.
So and I don't know if this is even possible, and I don't want to get into any more costs for engineering or anything like that, but just a thought, standing back looking at this, for the groundwater retention area, outlot X, outlot Y, could it be possible to switch one of those with lots 17 and 18 and make 17 and 18 a future, make that a drainage way now, and then in the future, if it decides to become a street, we have that option?
Fortunately not. The storm sewer and the low points in the project are at the streets. So again, you've got to take the water somewhere. And that's the reality of what we're doing here is the city made a big investment to improve those streets, bring storm sewer down them, promote drainage in the area, provide connectivity. I know there's been historically a lot of drainage problems in the area. So the basin that you see there, that's partly in that outlot that was a potential future street. That's part of the problem with that as well. That does not go anywhere. It literally just soaks in the ground. There's no storm sewer outlet for it. So that's just a giant hole. So again, I don't think anyone wants to continue that practice or promote that type of design. So again, we worked hard with staff and Public Works and everybody to make sure we're being as prudent as possible with kind of the future drainage and everything in the area.
Thanks.
You know, I think one of the kind of the issues that this is a struggle with is you've talked about the city wants to grow, right? Well, if the city wants to grow in this area, then the most appropriate design would be that you wouldn't have Northwest 56 would line up with the proposed Pioneer Parkway. Just let me finish my thought, okay? Because that would then allow for the potential of Pioneer Parkway to be built as it's kind of envisioned in previous plans. And this really kind of makes that kind of hard. And if nothing else, people are going to look at this and sort of say, why is it this way, right? Why didn't the city, you got 52nd Street coming down and hammerheading. Why didn't the city connect this road at 52nd, at the end of 52nd, instead of the way it's designed? I do hear what you're saying, though, is that it's a remnant property. And sometimes, even though it doesn't look pretty, and it'll cause people certainly to say, why the heck did they do it this way? There's sort of, if you can't get somebody to sell you the land, which that's saying, I'm not sure, I don't really know, I'm not sure more effort could have been made in that area, but I just have to kind of take it at face value at this point. That in some ways, I'm not sure that the perfect should be the enemy of the good. I'm not sure this is good, but it's certainly not perfect. So I will support it tonight. But I'm sure that at some point in the future, somebody's going to ask me, why the hell did you do that? That was pretty bizarre. And we'll have to explain that. So that's sometimes things we have to do.
And again, I would go back to, I think you could still make that connection. So all of our streets don't have to be perfectly straight on a line. If Pioneer Parkway eventually jogs south 100 feet over 1,000 feet, I mean, Pioneer Parkway is pretty far west of here. So obviously Pioneer Parkway could extend perfectly east and line up with where that remnant parcel is, but it could also jog to the south gently over 1,000 feet and line up with this street. And so I think there is still opportunity again to make that connection in the future as development happens to the west and development happens to the east. I think that's ultimately in the control of the council and staff to say, hey, we want these streets to extend in the future. We want this connectivity to happen as people come in and develop those parcels. But we all heard the neighborhood when they were here, I'm never going to sell my ground. I don't want this. I mean, so again, development's going to drive that boat. But I want to just be careful in saying that I think you guys still have the opportunity to make these connections.
And I think you make a good point there, that if this road, if this was designed, if 52nd was designed to intersect with, or if 56 was designed to intersect with the end of Northwest 52nd Avenue, we would have 25 people in the room here tonight saying, don't do this project. Please oppose it, because I don't want part of this traffic going down my street. And so that is part of the trade-off. And I think that's a legitimate observation.
I do appreciate that.
Is it going to be called 55th Avenue? We already have a 55th.
Northwest 56th Avenue, right?
Is it a 56? I can't read it on the plan. Seems to be something over it. Is that a 6?
Yes, it is Northwest 56th Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
And I would like to clarify the hammerhead issue Mike and I were visiting here. So and I think city staff considers these temporary dead-end streets under the subdivision ordinance. So if these are temporary dead-end streets, this Northwest 56th Avenue, the two ends of those, then the turnarounds are only required if they serve more than 4 lots each, and if they are a length longer than 150 feet. And I think in Jacob's report, he said they were less than that. So that is why the hammerheads are not required.
The hammerheads are not required, but it's a poor design. And another reason why somebody at some point is going to come to us and say, why did you do this? So we've heard this now 2 meetings in a row, that it's the design by the code, but that's not, for people who are not comfortable with that, I think it's the failure of the code. I think the council member Martin's point about the garbage truck getting down there, and what are they going to do now? Or the police truck or the fire truck, now they've got to figure out a turnaround. We've historically always avoided that situation. We're not going to do that in this case, I guess, but we've historically tried to avoid it.
Other questions or comments, council? Did the developers want to make any additional comments? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? If not, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-55?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
Yes.
Evans, Martin.
No.
Motion passed. Moving on to item 7B, consider resolution.
Councilman, I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt. You make it really difficult to invest in.
Chris.
It is, it's sad.
Item 7B, consider resolution number 26-63, approving a site plan for Colas Mechanical.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Michael Dell, planning staff. We have a request from Colas Mechanical Incorporated. They've submitted a site plan for new construction of a 16,200 square foot building at 4825 Northwest 59th Avenue. The building will be single story, 26 feet tall with a mezzanine level on the southeast corner of the building. The proposed uses are industrial office space, contractor space, and some light industrial fabrication space. Here is the project location. The current zoning on site is M1 Light Industrial District. That does allow for all the proposed uses. There are adjacent similar uses to the west, east, and south. There is a Sikh temple just across Northwest 59th Avenue to the southwest. There is a residential PUD to the north, but most of the land directly adjacent to this building is water runoff, stormwater drainage areas, and just open space within the HOA. Here is their proposed layout, just to give the council an idea of what the building is going to look like in terms of orientation. They are required to do 28 parking spaces and 2 ADA spaces. They are proposing those exact number of spaces. They are meeting code requirements. Here to the north, they are proposing a commercial accessory building. They are right at our code requirement of 360 feet for a maximum accessory structure. They will share a drive entrance just to the southeast with the properties to the north, just to minimize access points on Northwest 59th Street, just to reduce those intersections with traffic and just to make everything flow a little bit better. All facades facing within 300 feet of public streets shall meet 25% Class A and Class B materials combined. I'll bring up the elevation sheets here just to give council an idea of what the actual building will look like. Here's their site plan conceptual document. You can see that mezzanine level here with the office space just on the southeast corner of the building. They are proposing insulated metal panels along all public-facing facades of the building and glass. The glass meets our Class A material, and the insulated metal panels with hidden fasteners does meet our Class B material requirements. I can go through the elevations. Here's that accessory structure also that matches kind of the coloration. That accessory structure will be fully screened from public view and public street view, so doesn't have to meet our code requirements for facades. And here's just a side view of those. So the south, the east, and the west are meeting those 25% requirements for material types. All stormwater and engineering design requirements have been reviewed by both engineering through the site plan submittal process. They have submitted a landscaping plan that does meet code requirements. I can just scroll here to our landscaping plan sheets. There we go. They are required to meet 20% open space requirements. They're proposing 36% open space requirements. 36 trees and 36 shrubs are required to be planted on this site. They are proposing 37 trees and 36 shrubs. The buffer along the residential in the north end is meeting our buffer requirements. All of the trees being proposed are within our desired or not on our prohibited list for recommended trees. They are providing our code required EV eligible charging spaces also with this plan. We did not receive any comments from any of the surrounding neighbors when notifications went out. Plan and Zoning Commission did make a recommendation of approval for this site plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the council.
Council have any questions for Michael?
I do have one, Mayor. Michael, you mentioned that accessory or the proposed storage outbuilding, the 360 square foot building, will be screened. Is that screened with vegetative material? Is that screened with some sort of fencing? How is that being screened? And is that listed somewhere and I just can't see it?
Just from the angle of the building, from the street view. The building jogs over a little bit on the corner. It'll be screened mostly from view from the front of the building. There is a little bit that it bleeds over to the east, but it's outside of the 300 feet, so it doesn't have to meet any of our architectural requirements. But that was just a comment saying that it's going to be set back more than 300 feet on the property and mostly screened with the proposed building.
Okay.
And then on the north side, it's screened by that buffer that's proposed and code required.
Is that the same for the trash area as well that's identified, that is considered to be screened?
Correct, and that's a future trash enclosure. He has it on there just in case he can do an amendment in the future. He's not proposing one currently, it's all inside.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Other council questions or comments? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 26-63?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7C, consider approval of a resolution authorizing the city administrator to sign an agreement for temporary communications services.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On March 26, the city issued a scope of services for temporary communications consultant to ensure continuity of communications during a recent transition in the communications department. The city did receive 5 proposals on issuing that scope of service. Staff reviewed the submissions and invited 2 firms to interview with the city on April 3rd. That interview panel included Assistant City Administrator Dave Wilberding, Police Chief McDaniel, Fire Chief Coleman, Public Works Director Matt Greiner, Human Resource Director Brooke Mallory, along with the mayor and myself. Based on the review of the proposals and the in-person interviews, staff is recommending AKC Marketing. AKC demonstrated a strong understanding of the scope of work and the ability to provide hands-on responsive support across all of our for media relations, social media, public communications, and emergency messaging. They do also, I would note, have a local presence here in Johnston, and so we believe that they will meet the needs of the city during this time. The proposed statement of work, which was included in the packet this evening, is based on $150 an hour and is estimated to be about $25,000 per month. This will be covered by the communications budget with the current vacancies that are in the department. And that statement of work is structured to provide temporary communications through the end of September, and it totals $148,000. And then the agreement itself can be terminated by either party with a 14-day notice. So with that said, staff is recommending approval of a resolution allowing the city administrator to execute an agreement for this temporary communications services with AKC Marketing, Inc. I would note that staff is going to be aggressively working towards backfilling these positions. The plan would be we would focus first on the communication director position. We will be posting that probably within the next week or two. There'd be a period of time for 3 to 4 weeks that would be open, seeking applicants for it. We would work on getting interviews scheduled pretty quickly, and then that position hopefully would be filled late June, early July as kind of the target. Now, certainly some individuals in these positions may need additional lead time to give notice to their current employers, but it's a position that we think we can successfully fill. Again, happy to answer any questions council has this evening. Thank you.
Council, have any questions?
Mayor, I do. Mike and perhaps Christine, what are the limitations or lack of limitations with regard to FOIA requests or things like that that this contract entity would need to be able to accommodate and address? And to some extent, especially since you named off our public safety individuals who helped advise or consult in this selection, There are at times certain things, especially with regard to public safety, but also for economic development purposes and other things like that, where our communications folks have privileged information and have to work very judiciously on how and the timing by which they share that publicly. What expectations and obligations can we legally hold this contractor to, and for how long of a period even beyond the 3 to 6 months that's prescribed? So there's a lot packed into that, but talk to me about how we can continue to keep city information that ultimately does need to be transparent, but perhaps in a different time frame protected.
Great question. I know the mayor had asked that question during the interview process of what is your familiarity with open meetings, open records. This firm doesn't have tremendous experience in that. With that said, has experience in journalism and has themselves understands kind of the process and the questions they can ask and the expectations that they'll receive information based on a FOIA request as a journalist. So they have familiarity in that. My understanding, and I'll certainly give it over to Christine here, just like a city employee, a contractor is going to have to meet the same requirements that Iowa Code lays out for public information. Just because they're not an employee, because they're given that data, they have the same legal requirements that an employee would be held at. But I'll certainly turn it over to Christine.
Yeah, city records continue to be city records, even if they're being held by an outside consultant. So if there's an open records request for information that may be in their possession, I mean, the city's going to tell them, you have to produce this, please send it over to us to distribute. So there would still be, reporting requirements if an open records request was received. Similarly, if there's confidential information that is shared with them and they're made aware that it's confidential and, it is protected information, it would not necessarily lose that status just because they are now in possession of it, as long as the city's careful about that and, if it's communicated in advance or marked as confidential and that's made clear. There are ways we can kind of work with that.
I would just, I guess, not so much maybe about this decision of whether to hire somebody, but your comments later on about sort of addressing the 2 open positions we have. I would encourage us to take an opportunity to review if, do we believe we need to hire 2 people? Because I do think that we're entering a period of reduced resources, and I think this provides an opportunity, or at least the amount of resources we have available is going to be constrained. We've been in a period like that. It's going to continue to be like that. When I first was elected to the city council, we had 0 communication staff, and I don't think that's appropriate, but I do think this is an opportunity to review if we really need to. So I would encourage I'd like some thought given to that before we just all of a sudden realize we've hired 2 people.
Point well taken.
Yep. And certainly, just to reiterate, our plans right now is to hire just the communications director. After we onboard a communications director, we'll have further discussions.
Okay, that wasn't how I heard you say it, but I appreciate that kind of rephrasing. So, thank you.
Mike, is there anything within this contract that forbids or restricts this entity from disclosing or actively using us as a client within their marketing while they're underemployed or contract with us?
There is not.
I would encourage that we consider something along those lines, and really from the standpoint of, while I think it's great that we have a Johnston company, and we were able to select someone that can provide the services that we need, that doesn't necessarily preclude that there are other Johnston companies that could have from that standpoint as well, and perhaps were not considered based on the short time frame of this. And so to some extent, I just don't want to be able to provide any unfair competitive advantage to one over another while we're contracting with them. That would be my suggestion.
I think the only thing you have to, typically when somebody's out talking to potential they'll say, who are some of your clients? And I just want to make sure that we're not so restrictive there that, so I just think that's a little challenging.
There are plenty of firms and plenty of contract work where you're not able to disclose your contracts though, too.
We can have that conversation with them.
I'm not familiar with that, but if there are, there are.
Other questions or comments? Appears the resolution is numbered 26-66.
Correct, Mayor.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7D, consider approval of claims in the amount of $836,795.39.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to city administrator staff comments.
I don't have any updates this evening. I'm looking towards staff to see if there's any updates. I don't see any there either.
City council comments. Let's start with Councilwoman Martin tonight.
No, I have no comments.
And Burkhart.
I have nothing.
Oh,
As we start to think about the budget, and I think tonight's discussion was a good discussion, I continue to engage with staff to look at ways, and I just kind of wanted to share this with folks, of ways to potentially lower the levy. And so I had a good meeting, and I appreciate Sarah and Mike taking time last week to talk through some options. And so we will obviously make that decision at next week's meeting, but I just wanted to be people aware that I do think that we should consider that as an option of looking at a levy reduction. So that just as an FYI.
and I would just encourage you, Councilman Cope, at some point when you kind of settle on what you're looking at, that you share that.
Yeah, I'm
So that
waiting
we're-
to get some materials
yeah.
based on that meeting, and as soon as I have that, I will. So.
I pass, thank you.
Nothing, thanks.
I'll just keep the trend up then. I'll pass as well. We do have a closed session. Item 10A, closed session per Iowa Code Section 21.51J to discuss the purchase of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could reasonably be expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for that property. The minutes and tape recording of the session closed under this paragraph shall be made available for public examination when the transaction discussed is completed. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Motion passed.